Another day, another big corporation issues another non-apology after being embroiled in a controversy that they started, but only after it threatens to impact their bottom line. The crazy story surrounding Ubisoft's latest game, Assassin's Creed Shadows, just keeps rolling. But before I get into this most recent development, let me recap the road that brought us here. Rumors swirled for a long time that Assassin's Creed would be making a game set in feudal Japan, a setting long requested by fans of the franchise. News leaked that Ubisoft's Assassin's Creed B team, the one who made Odyssey, was working on the next game in the franchise under the codename Assassin's Creed Red, which would be the game set in Japan. Then in May 2024, Ubisoft officially unveiled the game as Assassin's Creed Shadows and released a cinematic trailer to show it off. From the outset, controversy started to bubble up surrounding the fact that one of Assassin's Creed Shadows' two playable characters was a black man named Yasuke, rather than a male Japanese character. In the weeks that followed, Ubisoft would go hard promoting Yasuke as the series' first historically accurate character. The dev team would claim that they drew from real historical records, which made mention of a black man named Yasuke, who served under the feudal lord Oba Nobunaga.
The historical character of Yasuke presented a really exciting opportunity for the narrative team. We approached it in the same way that so much of the work is done in Assassin's Creed, which is really in terms of research and history first.
In Shadows, Ubisoft decided to present Yasuke as a samurai, which as it turns out is a point of contention among Japanese historians and scholars. This may be where the controversy started, but it boiled over from there. And it got worse when other trailers showed Japanese bystanders bowing to Yasuke, and the supposed samurai killing guards with gory finishing moves that were not very samurai-like. The more attention the game drew, the more criticisms followed, with accusations that some of the architecture was out of place for the time period, and it seemed Ubisoft stole artwork from a Japanese history group that did battle reenactments. Again and again, new things emerged that became problems for fans, especially Japanese fans who felt Ubisoft was misappropriating their culture and history, to the point where a petition was created on change.org seeking to cancel the game altogether. Now, I am not certain that the creators of this petition really believed that they could get Ubisoft to pull the plug on a game they had likely invested $100 million or more into already, but it does serve as a useful gauge for the level of pushback the game is receiving. And now, with the game's November release looming over us, I have to speculate that the pre-sale numbers aren't where Ubisoft wants them to be, because they have released a second apology letter. The first was over the artwork that was plagiarized in a blatant attempt to stave off a lawsuit. The second is likewise a desperate bid at damage control and doesn't meaningfully apologize for anything. Instead, it accuses the dissenters as being the ones who are wrong. But let's go through it and I can show you. To our esteemed Japanese community, a message from the Assassin's Creed Shadows development team. First, we want to express our heartfelt thanks for all your support in the Assassin's Creed series, which now has its own history spanning almost 20 years. Over this time, we have explored various settings, time periods, and characters, from an Assassin's Creed during the Third Crusade to Vikings, in a 19th century England, and countless more. So they start this by patting themselves on the back for the franchise's history, beginning a conciliatory message with self-aggrandizing. Not a great move. For many on our team, creating an Assassin's Creed game set in feudal Japan has been a long, cherished dream. Since the announcement of Assassin's Creed Shadows, we have received many positive reactions, but also some criticism, including from some of our Japanese players. We share your passion and history and deeply respect and care about the historical and cultural integrity of your rich heritage. Here we have the damage control and a more sophisticated version of fan blaming, because they are saying that those who have claimed Ubisoft doesn't respect Japanese history and culture are just wrong. The devs behind this game deeply respect and care about it, but as we'll see in a moment, that isn't true. They continue, we would like to address certain points and clarify our intentions and creative decisions. We've put significant effort into ensuring an immersive and respectful representation of feudal Japan. However, our intention has never been to present any of our Assassin's Creed games, including Assassin's Creed Shadows, as factual representations of history or historical characters. Instead, we aim to spark curiosity and engage players to explore and learn more about historical settings we get inspired by. This is partly true and partly false. While it is true that the Assassin's Creed games have never claimed to be strictly factual, and they have indeed used aspects of history as a kind of playground to tell their stories, this hits a brick wall when it comes to their characters. And in the case of Shadows, they very intentionally and very loudly chose to use a real-life historical figure in their game. Going back to the statement, Assassin's Creed Shadows is first and foremost designed to be an entertaining video game that tells a compelling historical fiction set in feudal Japan. by suggesting that their portrayal of Japanese history and culture isn't meant to be accurate, but only used as window dressing for the team to use to their advantage, shows that they do have a lack of care and respect for it. Our team has extensively collaborated with external consultants, historians, researchers, and internal teams at Ubisoft Japan to inform our creative decisions. Despite these sustained efforts, we acknowledge that some of the elements in our promotional materials have caused concern in the Japanese community. For this, we sincerely apologize. It takes until the third page before we get to their actual apology, and even then it is tainted by a false qualification. The statement suggests that it's the promotional materials that has caused a problem, attempting to sweep concerns under the rug by suggesting that the promotional materials created to represent the game don't in fact represent the game, another statement that they are about to contradict. All the game footage presented so far is in development, and the game will keep evolving until launch. Based on the constructive criticism we have received, we will continue our efforts until we put the game into your hands, and beyond. Here we have an insight that yes, the promotional materials did indeed represent the game, and based on the criticism they have received, they are making changes to the game. Though given the late stage of development that they are likely in, we're talking about minor tweaks that they hope will pacify detractors. Though it's nice that they're taking note of some of the criticism and looking to make changes. We also want to clarify that while we have been consulting with many people throughout the development process, they are in no way responsible for the decisions that have been taken by the creative teams in the interest of gameplay and entertainment. Consequently, we respectfully request that any criticisms not be directed at our collaborators, both internal and external. I'm going to say up front that voicing your opinion on media is always okay and justified. Bringing valid criticisms is always okay. Attacking and harassing people online is not okay. It is counterproductive and achieves nothing. That said, they claim that they have consulted and listened to people for this project, and those advisors are responsible for the information Ubisoft used when making this game. I'm sorry, but if someone had influence over the decisions that were made, decisions that would not have been made save for their involvement, then they do bear some responsibility. And it's okay to say so. The final part of this statement is just asinine. While we strive for authenticity in everything we do, Assassin's Creed games are works of fiction inspired by real historical events and figures. From its inception, the series has taken creative license and incorporated fantasy elements to craft engaging, immersive experiences. The representation of Yasuke in our game is an illustration of this. His unique and mysterious life made him an ideal candidate to tell the Assassin's Creed story, with the setting in feudal Japan as a backdrop. While Yasuke is depicted as a samurai in Assassin's Creed Shadows, we acknowledge that this is a matter of debate and discussion. We have woven this carefully into our narrative with our other lead character, the Japanese shinobi Naoe, who is equally important in the game. Our dual protagonists provide players with different gameplay styles, restating what we all know, that in the struggle between fact and fiction, fiction wins every time.
Not a lot is known about him.
But that is why you need to be very careful about how you present the history of your historical fiction. Creative license only buys you so much, especially when you're taking from someone else's history and culture. I have a feeling that the Yasuke thing blindsided Ubisoft. I don't think they realized just how controversial a figure he would become. It seems that they thought that their take on him was mainstream. Now they're caught endlessly trying to play defense, unable to backtrack in any meaningful way, for reasons that I'll discuss in a moment. But now we come to the end of this thing, which goes out not with a bang but a whimper. We greatly value your feedback and encourage you to continue sharing your thoughts respectfully. While we understand that meeting everyone's expectations is very difficult, we sincerely hope that when Assassin's Creed Shadows launches on November 15th, players in Japan and around the world will appreciate the dedication, effort, and passion we have poured into it. The Assassin's Creed Shadows development team. I'm a bit baffled that they ended this apology and call for understanding, with a lament about just how hard making video games is. With that, they have made it all about themselves again instead of the people they are supposedly reaching out to. As we talk about Ubisoft, the controversy over Assassin's Creed Shadows, and this awful non-apology, we have to talk about the root cause that underlies it all. Because the vast majority of problems Ubisoft is facing are caused by the studio's commitment not to making great games, but their commitment to ESG and DEI. Ubisoft is on the forefront of these social political movements, very publicly pledging their allegiance to them. This is what led them to Yasuke in the first place, why they felt they had to cast a black man instead of a native Japanese in the story, why they conveniently left out aspects of who Yasuke really was, so they can substitute it with a Western power fantasy and revisionist history. This is all to satisfy diversity quotas, and has nothing to do with good, authentic storytelling, because it's really important for people to see themselves represented in games, unless you're a Japanese male. Then you don't matter so much, and you should be content to play a black man slaughtering guys who look like you. The problem is that all of this, Ubisoft's game and all their excuses, ring a bit hollow, because there is a game out there, a game by another studio, Sucker Punch, titled Ghost of Tsushima. It is a game set in feudal Japan that takes great care and consideration of Japanese history and culture, as well as the culture of the samurai.
When we take their life, we look them in the eye with courage and respect. This This is what makes us samurai.
And while it is a work of fiction and very much a video game, Ghost of Tsushima is generally regarded well in Japan. It did not face a lot of backlash for misappropriating and misrepresenting what it depicted. Ghost of Tsushima shows that it is possible to keep this balance and make a great game. Ubisoft's problem, as I have said before and will keep pointing out wherever I see it, is that they are serving more than one interest. Their allegiance to ESG scores and DEI is a poison that toxifies everything they touch and hinders their ability to make anything worthwhile. Until Ubisoft and others return to their one and only mandate, to make fun products that their customers want, they will continue to fail. And no amount of slick PR or poorly worded apologies will change that. But this is just one rebel's opinion. What are your thoughts on Assassin's Creed Shadows? Do you think Ubisoft has handled the controversy well or poorly? Let me know in the comments. Like the video and subscribe so you'll always get the latest updates from Rebel Normal.